Hello and welcome to the Bandwagon Podcast. I'm your host Charlie Cooper and my guest this episode is ska legend Silky Hookings. Silky is the lead singer of Deaf Guitar Pop and is also a prolific entrepreneur in the music industry, helping other artists to thrive as DIY musicians. We discuss the music business, the ins and outs of a DIY band, and the past, present and future of Deaf Guitar Pop. Silky, thanks for joining me. How you doing, mate?
I'm very well, thank you, Charlie. Thanks for having me.
Oh, thanks for coming on. This is great. Like I said to you before, I'm genuinely a big fan as well. So I've been really excited about this, and think like a lot of people, I was scrolling through Facebook a few years ago and saw the video for Scar is the Bollocks, and was like, oh, fucking, I have some of that, you know. So and yeah, here we are now, a few years later, which is pretty cool.
Thank you, man.
But yeah, so when I understand, of course, you were in an indie band before that. They did pretty well, to be fair. So was that your first proper band?
Yeah, States of Emotion. Yeah, so I formed that band when I was 14 with some pals at school. And actually the bass player, Bonsai, and the drummer, Luke, are in Deaf Guitar Pop's live band now.
Oh, quality.
Yeah, we're like lifelong best mates pretty much. But yeah, I was in that band for a long time, like packed it in. I think I was 29 when that band split up, and yeah, we had like a record deal and that, and did some pretty cool things. Never like really didn't get our break as such. Do you know what I mean? Like what wasn't the label thing didn't work out for us. We were just shelved for the best part of 3 years. We did a really good support tour with The Enemy. That was brilliant. We had a booking agent for a short period of time, and they got us to support with The Enemy. So we went around the country and did like all the academy venues with them.
Mm-hmm.
And that was amazing.
I bet, yeah. What a band to tour with and all.
Yeah, and their audience are fucking like brilliant. They're so lively. So that was a great experience. But that was probably where that band peaked, to be honest with you, you know, like that one like wicked support tour that we got. And I'm really proud of the album that we made. And I ended up self-releasing that in the end. And I'm glad that, you know, we finished it and it's out there. So yeah, I was in that band for a long time, and then when that split up, I was sort of done with music. I was very burnt out at that point, and I was like nearly 30 years old and skin, and I'd had all these jobs that were sort of a means to an end. You know, low-paying jobs that I could just drop, you know, at any given moment if an opportunity for the band come up. So I was like, you know, close to 30, skint. A lot of my mates were cracking on, like they'd been in trades or whatever, or got jobs out of uni, and they were like starting to buy their first places and all that. And I just thought, fuck, like I'm well behind here. So I was pretty disillusioned and like didn't touch my guitar for a few months. But then yeah, Johnny and I got together and started writing because, you know, I missed it after a short while. I realized that like, well, even if it's not like any kind of career venture, I just have to do this. Do you know what I mean? Like, yeah, it's just what I do. It's like a fun, creative output, and it was nice to, do you know what I mean? You know, just get back into doing it for the love, really, and not having the pressure of trying to make money out of it. And then yeah, Johnny and I got together and started writing what have become the Deaf Guitar Pop songs.
Brilliant. And were you always into ska and wanted to just decide you were into indie as well? You'd done that, you wanted to do something different, or was it a newer love?
Well, I mean, I love like so many different genres of music, but Madness were like the first band I ever loved as a kid because my parents got me into it when I was really young. My dad come home from work one night and he had the VHS tape of Divine Madness, which was all the music videos. And I was obsessed at a really young age. And I used to like skank about and watch the videos and dance with me two younger brothers in front of the telly and with my mum and dad, like really happy childhood memories. So, and I wanted to, like Suggs was like my first musical hero. Prop 5, 6. the TV, like, Um, so yeah, like, that's where the roots of it lie. Um, and then yeah, sort of the back end of like states of emotion, I just got into like I was like I was down for market one day, and the CD stall there, the guy was blaring Toots 5446. And I asked him what it was. I was like, mate, what is this tune? It's fucking so.
Mm.
He told me, and it was on this Monkey Business CD compilation of all like the Trojan Scar songs. So I bought it, um, and then started going down a bit of a rabbit hole. And then I discovered the rest of the two tone bands, and then like the third wave, like American stuff. And yeah, just at the time of like when I got together with Johnny Top Cat and started writing those songs, I was like just really into my ska, and it was quite fresh for me because, like I said, I'd like Madness as a kid, and like the Specials I knew, do you know what I mean? And I always liked their music like growing up, but this period of my life at the end of States of Emotion, I was just really like into ska, and I started dressing like a skinhead and everything. And then I started DJing. I put a night on at the Traitors Gate in Grays in Essex called Ska Club Essex. And I was DJing at the time as well. So yeah, it was a lot of those tunes, those like skinhead classics or whatever, were like very fresh to me at that time. Like
Sure, yeah.
very
No, it makes complete sense, and it's funny how I've always said this because similar sort of background to you from a musical sense. I've been in indie bands. I'm now actually writing some more ska influenced stuff as well, which we've spoken about. And my dad was into all sorts of stuff, but he really liked bands like the post punk stuff like the Jam and Joy Division, the Stranglers. But he also had loads of Specials records and Madness and the Beat and the Selector and all that. So I ended up listening to a lot of that as well growing up, and that sort of the mod and the skinhead thing kind of go hand in hand, didn't they? I spoke with Sonia
absolutely.
about this earlier on. They're very, the mods and the skinheads are one haircut away from being basically the same thing, aren't they?
Yeah, I think that's the thing about like this era. Like all the subcultures have merged, really, haven't they? Or a
Mm,
lot of subcultures that were once, I guess, a bit tribalistic, like casual skinheads, mods.
yeah.
It's yeah, it's merged, really, isn't it? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, massively, and it's quite interesting how many like when I go to Northern Soul nights, how many skinheads I see at them, which is a little bit counter, and vice versa. I go to Scar gigs, and the amount of people I see in like two-tone suits and stay press and stuff like that, rather than like Levi's and Doc Martens. It's you're absolutely right. Definitely definitely crossed over, and I guess that gets me onto a little bit about your relationship with Top Cat or Johnny. So, is he someone else that you knew from school? Is he someone you met later on? How did that come about?
So Johnny's a bit younger than me, but he was in a really good band called the Tomorrow Men, and they were like quite moddy. So this is all in like the Essex music scene. Like I used to put nights on in like Brentwood and Romford and stuff. Um, and yeah, like them and the Bracknell who are doing really well
Hmm.
now, an artist that I've worked with on the marketing side. We used to play gigs together, and I used to put on like club nights with live music. So that's how I got to know Johnny. He was in this wicked band called the Tomorrow Men, and they were really young when I first met them. They were like still in, I think they were in like the first year of sixth form at
Oh
school.
wow.
Um, and yeah, the night me and Johnny met, actually, it was like my birthday, and I was still drinking at the time. And we ended up back at mine, listening to a Stone Roses vinyl, like into the wee hours. And we had a proper moment. We talk about it like now and again, like we like embraced one another. And he was like, I'm so glad I fucking met you. Because
Yeah,
in Brentwood, like, it was really, there wasn't much alternative culture about, it was like Towie time in
sure.
Brent, and so there was a lot of like the area was under the microscope a bit, but like as far as alternative music goes and that and subcultures, it was like it was not much of that about. And like Johnny and those boys in the Tomorrow Men, they were like the next generation of our lot basically coming through and forming bands. So it was really cool. Like I had this gig that I put on and they turned up to play and yeah, we hit it off straight away and I was like blown away by Johnny's voice like the second that I heard it. And yeah, it's just been good mates ever since. Like we weren't when we started Death of Guitar Pot, we're 100% like best mates and brothers now because we've been through so much together like the past
Mm.
few years. Um, but we were like mates. We didn't know one another like really, really well. Like when we started the band, there was just this like we had like massive respect for one another because he loved my old band States of Emotion and I loved the Tomorrow Men and um they sort of disbanded around this time that States of Emotion did. Um, and then when I started writing these songs, so Rickety Old Train was the first one that I wrote. I realised like that sort of more kind of British like moddy thing would be well that was the route it was going down and
Mhm.
so I didn't want to do it on my own as like a solo project. So like yeah, Johnny was like the first person that I thought of really to give a bell and see if he would be up for like collaborating and writing tunes together and yeah, so that's how it started. And it's really cool. It's mad how what it's grown into the past few years.
Mm.
Literally in business together like now
Yeah.
and doing all this mad shit that we couldn't foresee back then.
Well, I mean, on the circuit you're on, you know, you've got an incredible following, and what's always blown me away is you've done it DIY. Now, for anyone listening, so the whole sort of point of this podcast is it's for not for mainly for people who do what we do to listen to people who kind of get where they're coming from, but also I've got quite a lot of people who listen who are just big music fans who might not necessarily know much about that model. So can you tell us a bit about that and how you as Deaf Guitar Pop have used that to have all of the opportunities that you've had?
Yeah, sure. So yeah, so it sort of all started with like one Facebook ad. So like as I touched on earlier, like with States of Emotion, um, we we didn't like we ended up like doing all the traditional stuff. So we signed the record deal and thought that that would be like the the holy grail that sort of then gets you out there. Do you know what I mean? That gatekeeper that you get into bed with that then gives you that platform that you need to get your music out to the
Mm,
masses and start to make a career out of it. And obviously, yeah, that didn't work despite being in that band for years and pursuing that and then achieving it, but then it not being all it was cracked up to be. Um, so and then I tried stuff like DIY in States of Emotion where we'd paid for like radio pluggers independently, like out of our own pockets to as a form of PR. And we got evening plays on Radio One and Radio X, and we had some nice like blogs writing about us and stuff. But those services were like pretty expensive.
I'm sure, yeah.
And as cool as it was getting played on like Hugh Stevens, I think it was at the time on Radio One and John Kennedy, like I couldn't see how it would actually like it didn't convert like loads of fans because it's just like this one spot play in the evenings, you know what I mean? And you've got to like the people that like your genre of music have got to be listening in at that specific time, like 8, 9 o'clock on a Tuesday, with the radio turned up, and they've got to catch your name to even like 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 find out who you are and discover you, right? So it I didn't really see like yeah, I didn't really see a fan conversion from that. And so yeah, I was quite like at a bit of a loss as to like how you actually get your music out there because I tried like the DIY thing and yeah, had a label in my previous band, and both of those routes hadn't returned anything substantial.
I'm sure.
But I had when the band finished, I was doing like mobile car valeting around
Mhm.
Essex, like my day job. I started a little business, and I was running Facebook ads for that business. and the Facebook ads went really well, and I quickly like built a small client base for that business, and was busy from the get-go. So I'd learned like the fundamentals of like paid marketing on
Mhm.
Facebook. And yeah, essentially, like when Johnny and I had that first music video in the can for Rickety Old Train, um, we just rolled the dice of like 100 quid between us across a month, I think was our initial budget. And I set up a Facebook ad on that music video, targeting it to fans of Madness, the Specials, Ska as a
Mhm.
genre, and the Beat and the Selector, and other popular ska bands, and it connected instantly. Like I
Yeah.
remember setting it up like one evening, and then the next day, like pulling up my van at work to have a bit of lunch and opening my phone and just seeing like comments, likes, messages, and someone messaged like I've been waiting for a band like this since the Specials, and I was like, fucking hell, like
What a compliment.
works. Yeah, yeah, I was
Yeah.
made up, you know. So yeah, that moment really is as soon as we realized, fucking hell, we can actually reach an audience like that, that like a target audience that are into this stuff. Through our own, it didn't cost a lot of budget to run those ads. You know what I mean? Like
Mm.
£100 a month to start with, and then we've just upped it ever since as we've grown the business. But as soon as we realised we could do that, we were like, oh, we're onto something here. Do you know what I mean? And so that was the start of it. And we took on the responsibility of doing all the marketing ourselves. And then in terms of like actually monetizing it and making an income from it, people were asking us like, is there an album? Is there any plans for an album coming? And people were also asking for a live show. So we decided to crowdfund an album, because a couple of my pals, so, Darren Connet, had used Indiegogo to crowdfund his debut solo album, and hit his target on that. And then an actor pal of mine, Elliot Warren, he'd used, I think it was Indiegogo as well, to crowdfund a play that he'd written.
Wow.
Um, yeah, so and someone else actually, just like this local entrepreneur bloke I knew in Brentwood, had mentioned it to me before. He was like, "You should do crowdfunding," and I can remember thinking at the time, like, "Oh, I don't know, like feels a bit cap in hand," but he was bang on, that guy. Um, and so yeah, we just like people were asking for an album and asking for a show, so we decided to like put this crowdfund campaign together, um, and see if the audience would be up for funding it, and they did. It was just shy of 200 people, and they backed our debut album for about 5 grand. And then, I had a friend that was promoter at the time, Alan Cherry Cola. So I just got in touch with him and said, look, I think we're really building something here. And if we put, like, people were asking for a show, we put a London show on at the end of the year, I think we could pull some people. So he took a punt and like agreed like a pretty decent fee. We didn't actually make money that night because we paid for like a session band and
Of
everything,
course.
probably our
Yeah.
sound engineer. Um, but we didn't lose a load of money. Do you know what I mean? It was
Nah.
all it's just like
It
sort of
was a longer term investment, wasn't it? If you think
yeah,
of, yeah.
yeah. But I guess like where I'm going with that and with the crowdfunding, all of a sudden we were like, okay, like not only is there an audience there that wants to hear this stuff that we know we can reach like with this affordable marketing, but like they're up for like spending money on this. Do you know what I mean? They want an
Yeah.
album, so they're up for funding it, and they want to come and see us, and they're buying tickets and merch at the show. And that first show at the Oslo in Hackney was amazing. We had
Yeah.
people from Ireland and Newcastle like travel down for it. And there was a couple of people waiting at the venue before sound check, which was just nuts because
Oh
I'd been
wow.
a fan for like a long time, like States of Emotion, and never experienced anything like that. And there was like actual fans at a gig like waiting for us, and it was like fuck, like this what
Yeah.
you know what I
Oh
mean? And
man.
that playing that first show at Oslo in Hackney. it was just so exciting that there was a room of like 200 people that we didn't know that were like genuine fans of our music. I'd never had that in all the years I've been like grafting at it as a musician. So that was like how that was the start of it becoming like, an actual business, and us being inspired to actually pursue it as a proper career. And then yeah, I mean everything like now it's scaled a lot, and Johnny and I we're able to pay ourselves like a half decent salary out of it now. Um, and yeah, what's involved in running that is just mountains and mountains of work. It's great. I mean, we love it. We've learned to
Yeah.
embrace it as a lifestyle. Um, but there's so much. I mean, so many different aspects to it. It's a very small DIY operation. We've got like a bit of like part-time help and volunteers. So we've got like yeah, some mates that work part-time for us on the admin, and my wife Steph, she helps, she does like all the customer service emails and helps with the fulfillment. So it's very, very like, yeah, very DIY. And Johnny and I wear a lot of different hats. Um, and yeah, there's just so much to it, like whether it's organizing tours, coming up with like products. So we just released this like 7-inch vinyl box set that just landed at HQ a couple of days ago. So we come up with a concept to that, um, designed it all. We got a really great graphic designer and content guy, Brad, who's been on the team for a few years now. He's like the genius that like basically we go to him with an idea and then he makes it happen and designs it all. And um, yeah, so there's so many things like accounting,
Yeah.
organizing the boys for rehearsals and studio sessions and everything. Like, to be honest with you, I would say I couldn't possibly like list everything. It'd be a really boring podcast, but
Just a checklist
yeah,
for an
so
hour.
much, man. Honestly, it's so many things. But what I will say to summarize it is like 80% of being in the band is like business and marketing, and 20% is actually being an artist
Yeah.
and writing, recording, gigging, which, if you're a musician and like, you're listening to this and you've not yet like monetized it and you're at like the early stages of your career, you might hear that and it might depress you slightly because that's not what you sign up for. It wasn't what I fucking signed
No,
up
of
for.
course not. None
I
of
had
us
Led
did.
Zeppelin posters on my wall and everything. And
Yeah, none of us signed up to this to be an accountant and a marketer, did we?
right, yeah. But, it's a necessary evil. And if you, I do love it. I love being an entrepreneur, and
Mm.
I've become just as passionate about that. And I realize, what we've learned is that it's actually just as creative, really. Like coming up with
Mm.
is to like, you know, drive income through like cool like products and tours that we put together and events like this Scargate Festival. It's so creative all the time, coming up with these ideas and then branding them all and everything. Like,
Yeah.
so yeah, we've just learned to embrace it. And what it actually does is the 20% of the time that you do actually get to do the thing that you love, you appreciate it so much more. Do you know what I
Yeah,
mean?
I'm sure. Yeah, yeah.
Because it's almost like a treat because you have to do all that other stuff, like to do it how we do it, DIY, and like pay ourselves the salary out of it and everything. We have to, we can't afford to hire like full-time staff to do
Mm.
certain jobs because we need to like get paid ourselves. Do you know what I mean? So
Of course.
so when you get to like, spend a couple of days in the studio writing or go out on the road at the weekend and play like a run of shows, it feels like a proper treat and you love it. Do you know what I mean? Because you're almost like starved of it like 80% of the time. So you appreciate that side more, which is healthy, I think.
No, it makes a lot of sense. I suppose in a way, the to give an analogy, what when the situation we'll be in when we've all had day jobs in offices or whatever, and then a meeting and then for the band to be a thing or the music to be a thing. In a way, I suppose all of that becomes that day job, and it's a lot more interesting than working in a call center. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, you've nailed it, mate. Yeah, yeah, exactly. And everything you're doing in the office is giving your art like the best possible platform. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And yeah, you're investing in yourself, aren't you? By accumulating those skill sets like marketing and whatever it is, bookkeeping, um, you know, like all the logistical side of putting on events and tours and everything. It's all to serve your art, really, so you can do more of your art and get paid for it.
Mm.
And yeah, not have to do like a day job to subsidize making the art, it's all
Yeah.
your own thing.
Absolutely. I think in a way now that I think we've all come to terms over the past sort of what 15, even 20 years that record labels aren't. They're not what they used to be. They're not what you want or need them to be. If you can do all that yourself and earn a living, that I think that's so much a better way to go because you've got your. I mean, look at taking Deaf Guitar Pop for example. Some of the shows you've done, you played the iconic places like 100 Club and that, but you've done Shepherd's Bush Empire. You've got Scargate coming up, and you've done that without a label because of your graft and your I guess on entrepreneurship. You know.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's yeah. I mean, like to get to like Shepherd's Bush Empire and do that all completely DIY. Yeah, it's mad, mate. You know, I mean, if you'd have said that to me like a few years ago, like this is where it's going to head, like
Mm.
in my old band, we did like an album launch at the Underworld, and there was like 150 people in there, mainly friends and family. And it holds 500, the Underworld, so it was pretty empty. And I'd tried really hard. Like at that point, we'd got out of our deal, and I was doing it independently, and I'd got a little bit of investment, but like I said, I spent that money on like pluggers and that, and it didn't convert an actual audience. And I can remember at that point just thinking like I've got no clue how you actually make some money out,
Yeah.
how you reach an audience and how you make money out of this unless you've got that industry muscle in your corner and they're doing that proper job and pumping the money into it like that machine gets behind you. So
Mm.
if you'd have said to me like, when we were starting the band, because I was still, States of Emotion had only ended like a few months prior to that, you'd have said to me like this is where you could go completely self-sufficiently in a few years if you just get your head down, graft, and like embrace the entrepreneurship of it. I would have just been so like bewildered as to like how does
Yeah.
that, you know what I
Yeah.
mean?
No, it's incredible to like speak to people who have made it happen. I mean, I guess it gets beyond to someone of course my subject I want to talk to you about was with Hookings management and the assistance you're giving to other unsigned up and coming bands. You've got the inner circle, which of course I'm in, and that's how we've come to get to know each other a bit. So outside Deaf Guitar Pop, what is it on a day-to-day basis you're doing for these other groups, and can you tell us a little bit about some of the other artists that you're working with?
Yeah, of course, mate. So basically, all the things that I've learned about business and marketing through like Deaf Guitar Pop's career, I've turned that into a service for like my fellow independent musicians that need help. Um, yeah, marketing and monetizing their music. So and it's not just me now, like Johnny's involved. Yeah, he's working with the artists and got a team of like fantastic people that do content creation and graphic design and websites, videographers, and everything. And yeah, we offer like a range of services. Like we do like one-to-one mentorship where we teach artists like all the aspects of like our business and advise them on their own career. And you know, we give them like you know, feedback on like who we think their affinity artists and the genre is and help them set their ads up and all that kind of stuff. So we'll like mentor artists and teach them how to do that on like Zoom calls, or sometimes we'll meet up in person. But then we also offer that as a service where we'll just take that off their hands and run it for them. So a band like the Bracknell, for example, who are now
Yeah.
out on tours and everything, we'll like create all their tour ad promos. So videographer and editor. He'll a lot of that stuff he filmed anyway. It's all music video and live footage, but he'll like edit together um, like promo videos for each city and venue of the tour, and then I'll set up like the Facebook and Instagram ads for those. So yeah, we do a lot of the like marketing, like we take a lot of that work on and manage it ourselves. And then yeah, we do music videos and uh, social content, websites. We help bands build crowdfunding sites, fan club sites, anything that's worked for us. Do you know what I mean? Any method that we've learned along the way, we offer as like a service to other musicians. And then yeah, obviously content is a massive part of that. So that was why it was important for me to bring on Brad, who's like our sort of main video. He's again wears a lot of different hats. So he does like he's a camera operator, incredible editor, builds websites, great graphic designer, absolute asset. So he was like the first person I took on to do all that kind of stuff, and we've got a few great people now because agency's getting more and more popular. But yeah, it was important for us to offer that side as a service as well because it's just such a big part of it now, isn't it? Having that
Mm.
constant output of content. Yeah, if you're not doing that, you know you struggle to kind of to build any kind of audience unless there's a regular output of music releases and social content around those, you know?
Yeah, and you know, it's something that I think people find so helpful, and something I'm fully going to be, using later in the year because I'm quite good at making posters. I'm good at writing a Facebook post. I am crap at doing it regularly. I can do it, but I can't do it. Does that make any sense? Do you know, like I've got
Well,
the ability. It's the ability to actually make the posters and do the post, but it's the making sure that the right people see it, doing it
yeah,
regularly enough, and that's something you've already helped me with a bit with something with a gig I was promoting back end of last year, and it is something I think that for any of us who have been, and maybe it's a bit more modern now, I don't know, but any of us who have been to places like BIM or ACM, bloody yeah, they missed the trick not showing us that sort of thing. They really did. Really
yeah.
good because we aren't music industry, but it was. I mean, it was like what a plugger is, how record labels work, what a 360 deal is, all that sort of stuff that most of us weren't ever going to get.
Well, that's the thing, right? That is like the traditional like music industry, isn't it? You know, but I see it as there's this like new, well, actually, so there's a really great book. A guy called Ari Herstand is the author. It's called How to Make It in the New Music Business, and it's very much like centered around how you do it independently and
Hmm.
self-sufficiently. Um, so yeah, it's almost like this, like the independent music business is this separate like industry in itself. And from what I've heard, yeah, it seems like those like unis and colleges and that they teach more about the traditional like where you like the major labels operate and that kind of world or the big indies. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Whereas yeah, I feel like it's really changed in the last like 5 to 10 years. You know, artists are embracing the entrepreneurship of it and learning like digital marketing and learning to become like business people and
mm.
learning like studying like learning business through books, podcasts, like online courses, YouTube channels, whatever. That's certainly what I've been doing for years now, just been obsessing like down that rabbit hole. And you just then apply that to like, Johnny and I are always asking, and I was like, how can we apply what that book is teaching there or what that company's done there to a music career? Do you know what I mean? Rather than just look thinking down those like traditional like avenues of like labels and all the things that like everyone kind of knows about, but as you said, not many people ever get the opportunity to get like a deal like that. And a lot of the
No,
time, my experience when they do, it's not all it's cracked up to be, and the label doesn't actually work it, you know. So
yeah.
So yeah, it's a shame really that people aren't being taught it at music business colleges. I'm sure there are some out there that are doing it.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's so many great resources, online now. Obviously, I try and put as much content as I can out, educational content
Hmm.
around this stuff. Um, I'm writing a book at the moment about it, so I'm looking forward to getting that out there. Um, and yeah, there's other great platforms like Indiepreneur. Don't know if you've heard of that. That's
No,
brilliant.
I've not. I've not.
So Indiepreneur, they do Indie Pro is the subscription service, and it's like an online training vault for like music marketing. So it's aimed at
Hmm.
musicians and music entrepreneurs, like managers and stuff. And there's so many great courses within that training vault that you get with your subscription. As I mentioned earlier, Ari Herstand, he's got something similar in his book, How to Make It in the New Music Business. There's another guy, Bacon's Bits, on Instagram. He has like a cigar and he looks like a bit of a metalhead, but he's always spouting really good advice on Instagram. So it's out there, do you know what I mean? But it's definitely like an alternative, almost like a subculture within the business. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And still pretty new. Do you know what I mean? It's still quite a new mindset to just completely embrace the entrepreneurship and be self-sufficient and not pursue gatekeepers, but like invest in yourself financially and obviously time-wise as an artist and grow it long term as you would any other business and bootstrap it. Um, yeah, that for me is like what's been the turning point because when I was in states of emotion for all those years, I just we were just reliant on that gatekeeper, and I ended up putting it out independently when the label didn't uh, do a good job and we got out of the deal. But that was almost like a last attempt, do you know what I mean, to do something with it. And I hadn't done my homework, and it was all very quick and like I just like tried to emulate like what the traditional like a big indie label or a major label would do and employ pluggers and that and didn't get very far with it. Do you know what I mean? So
Mm.
the difference in Never Guitar Pop is it's all been about just learning business and marketing and investing long term in our own PR and building it brick by brick, like one fan at a time, you know.
Absolutely, and it's clearly gone so well because everyone I know who listens to you, they found you through your social media marketing, you know, and it's obviously worked, and I heard about what you were doing the management stuff through. Two separate people actually. One, Will Jones, who's been on this show, who obviously you know who you've worked with, and actually another guy. He listens to this show as well. And give him a shout, Stuart Kipling.
Oh, shoot.
Yeah, yeah, I know Stuart. Stuart's a mate of mine. So he's really good.
West Ham boy, isn't he,
Yeah,
Stu?
that's how I know him. We both go to the pre-match events I've said you need to come along the one with me at some point because yeah, we know each other through there. And he's I thought, okay, two people have mentioned this to me now, and I was obviously aware of you through the band. So I'd signed up for. I think there was a bit of a. I don't think that there's a bit of a process. I signed up a form for the inner circle, and then you got in touch, and you know, those calls we have are so valuable. Not only from hearing from yourself, but the other people as well. Like the call we had the other night, we're hearing from everyone else's experiences.
That was my favorite session yet, actually. Like,
It was great.
lovely little community in it of just like yeah, just lovely people, like all like hardworking musicians that just want to help one another. So yeah, that's been amazing as well. Like, because that's been going for I think I launched in a circle like in April. So yeah, it's not even a year yet,
Oh well.
but yeah, it's a lovely group, and I'm really glad I did do that. Actually, it's a nice like yeah, another little string to my bow, way of like serving independent musicians. Um, yeah, it's cool, mate. I mean, that chat the other night was like everybody sharing their goals for the upcoming year. And yeah, it was really inspiring, wasn't it? So like, it was about
It
15
was.
on the call, and everyone like chimed in, and and it was just so encouraging, wasn't it? And everyone was like chipping in and helping one another, throwing advice into the mix. Yeah, I'm so glad that I started that group. It's
Yeah.
proper community.
It's fantastic, and I'd recommend anyone who's trying to make it with their own original music. And for someone like me, who I was out of doing music for about 6 7 years, I only got back into doing it about 18 months ago,
Right.
and doing my own stuff's completely, it's almost alien. I've not done it in so long, and having a group like this where there's people like yourselves, there's people like Sonia from Section 8, and Bryony Williams, who's obviously smashing it, and having being around those people, it makes it feel more obtainable, feels more achievable, as well. It's a
Yeah.
great thing to do.
Well, I was in a group. Unfortunately, he stopped doing it. But a guy called Dame Ritter, who started a label called Funk Volume out in LA, I think they were based. And it was a hip hop label. It was an artist on it called Hopsin, who I really love. And they built it like independently, very much like did all the things that I've been like talking about. Um, but they were onto this like pretty early, like, using Facebook and Twitter to build a fan base. They were one of like the first artists to really like hit a home run with it completely independently. And then Hopsin got big and ended up touring all around the world and having like Billboard charting albums. But unfortunately, there was like a fallout like internally, and the label disbanded like out of the blue sort of thing, and they were right at the top of their game. But in the fallout of that, Dame started this music entrepreneur club, and it was similar to what I do with the Inner Circle, like group of musicians that like you pay like a small monthly subscription, and everybody gets together on a Zoom call every couple of weeks, and Dame would like lead the session and have guests in like other music entrepreneurs and artists and interview them, and the group could ask them questions. And so I was in something like that, and that was at the very start of Death of Guitar Pop, and it was really valuable for me, like you're saying Inner Circle is for you, which is well flattering, by the way, like that is on got my own kind of thing going on there like Dame had. It helped me so much. So yeah, it's wicked. I think anything like that's great. And there is this thing where, and I guess it is because musicians are just so busy, like that, the lifestyle of it is full on in it. You know what I mean? It's 24/7. You don't switch off you don't switch off often, and you could be working every second of the day on something to push
Yeah,
it. And we're all quite obsessive and addicted by nature. Do you know what I
of
mean?
course. Yeah, yeah,
But I feel like, yeah, not many musicians talk about like the business and marketing side so much. It's probably down to, like I say, musicians are so bogged down with having to do all their own content anyway for their own releases, and working on their actual project, that a lot of people just haven't got time or whatever, or can't make the time to do that stuff. And but yeah, I think the more musicians that are showing that other side to it, not just like their artist personas, do you know what I mean? And are sort of breaking down the behind the scenes like business and marketing elements, the more that happens, the better, because yeah, like you say, it kind of makes you like, because as a musician that's like maybe starting out, or yeah, just like been going for a while but doesn't really understand like the business and how to make a career out of it. Like hearing other artists that are getting on and doing all right, not necessarily like rock stars that are making
mm,
millions, but just people making like an everyday living out of it, like Johnny and I are, just to get an insight into like how you actually make money month to month, like
yeah,
break it down, and how you actually reach fans, like what marketing is effective and how do you set it up, or who do you work with to actually get the results. I think is valuable information. And yeah, hopefully more and more entrepreneurial artists will be generous with sharing that information like moving forward,
yeah. I mean, fingers crossed, because this is something that I don't think, as you said, there were groups before that inspired you to do it, but not ones that many people know about. And this is something I've mentioned to a couple of people, who I'm hoping will get who'll get in touch with you. One of them definitely won't for a while because his baby was born like 2 days ago. But at some point, I think a good pal of mine who I've known for a long time will as well, just because they're in a he's in a great band who have been on here Slow Side Mondays. Who
Oh, I've heard of them. Yeah,
yeah, they're fantastic.
yeah.
Yeah, they're great. They're great, and they like do tours with this stealing and stuff like that, and they do some festivals, and they're all really nice lads as well, just like genuinely really nice blokes. So yeah, it's I'm really hoping that they get in touch with you at some point because I think it'll be a great hookup. I mean, moving on from the business side, more I guess to the music side. So, you've got a lot of tunes out there at this point, a lot. So when you do write, what does that process look like? Because it always fascinates me because I actually find writing quite difficult myself, and some people it just flows to them. So what's it like for you and for Johnny?
So we work on our own songs like individually. So yeah, like when we're in like we're sort of always in like album mode. We've put like 4 albums out now, and we're on to the fifth. We put 2 singles out just before the end of the year, and yeah, our thing is like we'll go away and work on our own batch of songs. So yeah, like half and half sort of thing, and then get and I actually I like to collaborate a bit. So I've got people that I write with on some of the songs. So like Martin Hammerhands out
Hmm.
big West Ham boy. Um, he's yeah, he's a brilliant writer. And so we've collaborated on a few songs. George, our guitarist that plays with us in the studio and was in a touring band, but no longer tours with us, but it's like a dear friend of mine, and still involved in the band and creative process. We write together from time to time. Um, so yeah, whether we're collaborating or writing the songs ourselves, because a lot of the songs I just write. Yes, we've got the responsibility basically between Johnny and I of doing half the album each, and so Johnny's like a good producer. I'm not. I'm fucking rubbish with engineer. Is that like and I can't fucking even use Gap.
I'm useless. I can just get me around Audacity to edit this podcast, and that's about where it
Right.
ends.
All fucking just voice notes on my phone for me, just bashed out on a guitar. Like
Yeah.
whereas Johnny's like he likes to really go in on his demos and yeah, he'll play every instrument in and do all the harmonies, go like do stuff. And um, so yeah, whereas I just like to get into a rehearsal room with a guitar on my own and just smash it out and record it on my phone rough as like a scrapbook. And then bring it into the studio with our superstar producer, Mitch Ayling, who's an absolute diamond. So his studio's at Woods Lodge. It's called Woods Lodge, sorry. So Woods Lodge is in South Woodham in Essex. It's fucking incredible gaff. And Mitch is a diamond. And he's so talented. He's in a band called The Milk. Um,
Oh, that was the milk. Oh, bloody hell. Oh,
yeah,
yeah. I've seen them a few times, actually. Yeah, yeah.
Mitch plays drums in The Milk.
Oh, quality.
Yeah, yeah. So he's produced all of our albums, and played like drums on them all, and I mean he's a multi-instrumentalist. So yeah, he's done all sorts of stuff on our record. So I like to take my songs in still pretty raw, like the songs there. Do you know what I mean? But the
Mhm.
layers aren't, and
Yeah.
so um, yeah, whereas Johnny will often track a lot of the stuff at home and then they'll load a project like at the studio where he's already sort of like started working on it and he might be like, yeah, he's already layered some like tracks, so yeah, we'll write like independently and then bring the songs together and just book like recording sessions with Mitch, maybe like 4 or 5 days at a time, or sometimes do for like 2 weeks to really get like the bulk of the album recorded. But yeah, I take my songs in quite stripped back, and then we work out the bass and the drums and everything in the studio, and just layer it up and get the boys in for each each part. So like Mitch will lay the drums, Bonsai, who plays bass in a live band, will come and bass down in the studio. Martin Hammer Hands will come and do the keys. So yeah, like I said earlier, like because we don't often get a chance to write, when we do, it's really productive because there's all
Nice.
this built up, like we haven't had the luxury of we're so busy doing this, and because I've got the agency as well, and Johnny works for that, and he's got a few other bits and pieces that he does. Um, we're always working such long days in the office. And then, when it's festival season or we're doing a tour, we're busy out like playing. We don't get a lot of time to just sit with our instruments and write. So when we do actually like finally book out some time because we're like, right, we need to get some songs written because we need to get an album out. We've planned to like, we'll plan it out in advance when we're going to drop it and when we need it done by. The pressure of that coupled with the fact like of setting the deadlines, coupled with the fact of us not getting a chance to get in and just be creative and write and sit down with a guitar or with Logic in Johnny's case and write a track like when we do like touch wood it just flows really like I've had writer's block in my old band. We would spend months and months and months fucking just going around one riff like in the
Mm.
studio and air out like just not writing a song for 6 months
That's
despite
how I
being in a
feel now,
rehearsal.
funnily enough. I can really relate to that.
Right, yeah, I've been through that. Like, I would say actually have a break from it. It is because I kind of like force myself. Well, it's not force myself. It's like I've got no choice. Like to these like long breaks from songwriting where I'm fully in office mode. So when I finally do get to sit down, it just flows because I've been like starved of it. Do you know what I mean?
Sure.
So whereas if I had the like opportunity to pick up my guitars and write, I don't think it would flow all the time. Do you know, get writer's block.
Yeah.
Um, maybe have a break from it for like a week or two or whatever. Because for me, like we're having those breaks because we've got all the other stuff to do.
Sure.
Yeah, and then whenever we get a chance to sit down, it flows and it's just fun. You know what I mean? Because
Mm.
we've missed it because we've been deprived of it. You know.
No, of course. And when you do write, you clearly write about stuff that you know about, even though like quite a lot you talk about the Rees Arc. I mean, you've got a lot of very tongue-in-cheek stuff around which I love, and the videos. I mean, I can remember watching the Ricky Yale train video for the first time and actually like loving something, but laughing like this is quality. Like they made a train out of cardboard. They're just running around Rumford High Street. This is hilarious, you know. Like and at the same time, lyrically, I think people feel like that. I mean, one that I really rate. So it's actually it inspired me for wanting to write sort of something with a similar theme was First In Last Out because everyone knows that fucker. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Everyone knows that James Buckley in betweeners bloke, didn't they? You know?
Yeah, yeah. So interestingly, like that's the one song that Johnny and I have like. I mean, it's mainly Johnny's composition, but we did sit down and write the verses together and that back and forth like we're chatting in the pub.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, yeah. But I mean, that's like really good storytelling from Johnny, and it is just like that would be Johnny being in the pub, like in Buckhurst Hill, and like picking up on the back. Do you know what I mean? And yeah, I mean, a lot of the songs are very much about like Essex culture and like what we've like grown up around and the characters you get. The Squire was like my granddad. That was his nickname. He was at Dagenham, and the in that song it mentions like Colin the Fruit, Mick the Meat, Bob the Cabbie, and they're all
Yeah.
these pals from the pub. I used to come home from the pub. I lived with my grandparents for quite a long time when I was a kid, and I used to come back from the boozer and talk about all these characters. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, we were just trying to like, yeah, and it's good to always find the humor like in it and have a laugh with the music videos. We've had such a fucking crack making
Oh,
our
I
music.
bet making Scar as a bollocks was a right laugh, wasn't it?
So, yeah,
Like
so
in that you rent, what was it like a was it a hotel or a stately home you rented out or something like
that
that
was
for it?
that was in Dulwich, and it was a restaurant. Yeah, but it was like an old like looked like a
Yeah,
mansion.
like a
Like
wedding venue or something, didn't it?
yeah,
Yeah.
I can't remember the name of it now, but yeah, we found it on like a location website. That's fucking nuts. Called in a lot of favors. That was a 10 grand. Should have been like a 10 grand shoot that, and it cost us about 2 grand that
Oh,
music.
nice.
We've got pals that like yeah, like the make films and are really like fucking top end editors and stuff, work with big artists and everything. So called in a few favors from them, and yeah, it was such a laugh, that video. So
Yeah, it looked like it, and just
it
like
would be really funny to get like do like a sort of 90s or noughties like hip hop like blingy
yeah,
video, all this like fucking just extravagant like gold Bentley and all these beautiful women in bikini
yeah,
and like champagne, and then there's us just like two skinny lads from Essex like doing this kind of Chaz and Dave style
yeah,
like
yeah.
vocal over a bluesy ska beat. Yeah,
Uh,
nutty idea.
one
I
of
mean,
the
when I was writing it, I was visualizing the video like as like a little mini musical in my head. So it was all, yeah, that was a trip, that one. But it's gone down like so well, that song. It's
yeah.
an anthem for us, you know.
Oh, absolutely. I bet asking, I've never been. I was typical. Was going to come to Shepherd's Bush, and I had a booking already that night, and it was just like, oh God. So I was going to go with Stuart actually, but just one of them typical things. The date come out, and I was like, oh, brilliant. Oh, hang on, I better check. Shit, like happens quite often when you do music for a living, unfortunately. But it's but I think that's the thing. Or it's got getting to next was your live presence. You gig. You're not the sort of band that gigs every weekend in pubs like others. Your gigs are much more of an occasion, aren't they? Really, when you at this
Yeah,
point. So what are your live shows like, and how do they differ around the country?
they're great fun, mate. They're just a big party.
Yeah.
Just yeah, so much fun. It's just a fucking knees up. Yeah, I mean everywhere's good. I'm not just saying that. Like we're just blown away. I mean, um, yeah, like it's just such a lovely community of people that support our band. Even like the first ever gig that we played at Skarmouth it was, and it was a little acoustic gig that Christine Staple, Neville's wife,
Hmm.
Neville Specials, had booked us for. That's her event. We hadn't like so our London show, our full band gig was like a month on from that, and this was just a little acoustic thing at Skarmouth, and it was our first. We'd done like a little charity gig. My brother put like a Christmas charity gig on a local boozer the year before, and Johnny, me, and Guitar George got up and did like a couple of tunes, like the first couple of songs we'd written. So, but this was our first like booked sort of professional show, if you like, and it was like like Skarmouth had just opened, so it was like in the daytime on like the Thursday maybe, but it was pretty busy already. But we didn't think anyone was going to know us, and I was fucking nervous. And then as we were just about to start the first song, a load of people pulled Kevin Webster masks out, reference in 69 Candles.
Yeah.
And mate, since then it's just been like it's like a cult of Kevin Webster's wherever we go. Like whoever's running that website, and I see them orders coming through, and like shitty Kevin Webster. I was thinking, what is going on here? But, yeah,
I wonder if he makes the Carlos Tevez ones that can't get sold every time we play Sheffield United. Yeah,
yeah,
well, it's the same bloke.
off that geezer, isn't he?
Yeah.
So it's so fun, man. It's just everyone's like fucking there for a good time. Um, Everyone has a proper boogie. Like we go nuts. We just like buzz off the energy. And yeah, it's just great, man. And we've been like we toured Australia. We've been out to Germany. We did a show in Vegas
Mhm.
last, and it's the same everywhere we go. Touch wood. I want it to last, like it, because it's
Yeah, man. They love their Scar Reynolds, didn't they?
really do. Yeah, yeah. We had brilliant bands. So Mick from a band called Sunny Coast Rude Boys who are coming over here. I'm helping them put a tour together in the summer. They're playing at Scargate and everything. He booked us for this tour because he's like a promoter as well. And yeah, we went around Australia like gigging with them, and it was nuts, mate. It was pretty similar
Mhm.
to how it is over here. People knew the songs and turned up wearing the merch. Mad to think that like people were turning up in like Scar is the Bollocks t-shirts that we packaged in our little office in Brentwood at the time, and they'd made it all the way over to like the
Yeah.
Sunshine Coast or whatever. Like Scar is the Bollocks. So yeah, it's wicked, mate. It blows
Yeah.
me away. And it's quite mad as well because we'll have periods of like you said, we're not out gigging like loads. We do a fair amount of gigging, but yeah, it's not like every weekend or these long, like, 4 week at a time tours or whatever. So sometimes, you're a little bit detached from it because we're just sat like doing the office work a lot. Do you know what I mean? And Johnny and I will work on Zoom quite a lot because he's in Essex and I'm now in Margate. Um, and then yeah, you sort of get to like festivals where all these people turn up that love the band and like the tour we've got coming up in March and April, and it's mad. It's this like real community of people out there. Like, every city we go to, like 500 people, whatever, that love
Mm.
it. We have a proper knees up. So yeah, it's quality, mate, and it's such a good crack with the boys as well. We've got a really good like lovely dynamic in the band. Like all the boys in the band are absolute diamonds, and yeah, it's proper like feels like it's proper team mentality. But
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, man. I mean, that's it's been mentioned a couple of times, but I mean, as we're sort of coming more towards the end now, I think it's a great opportunity to really talk about and plug Scargate a bit. So my first question about it really is: so you've got performing in your own band, running your own band, writing, the helping other musicians, the inner circle. So my question is: are you fucking mental trying to run a festival at the same time as all that?
well, yeah, definitely. I mean, so we wanted to put a gig on in Margate in the summer. It makes sense. I live here now,
Mhm.
um, and we've been wanting to play Margate for a few years. We did Brighton like just after the pandemic in the summer, and that was wicked. And we did Blackpool last year. We did Rebellion in the summer. That was fucking pucker. Um, so yeah, it was like always kind of on the agenda to just do like a headline show in Margate in the summer. Just felt like a good day out for like the fans and everything. And then we'd go and have a meeting at Olby's, meet Eli, the owner, and Eli had been putting on Scargate for like 16 years, but he had rested it last year because he puts the Soul Festival on, which has
Oh,
got
okay.
there's like 3,000 plus people. They actually have a section of the beach down on Walpole Bay, so that's grown into a bit of a monster. And yeah, he said like the Scargate thing didn't happen last year. I'd like to revive it, but I want some new blood, like to breathe a bit of new life into it. And would you boys be up for taking the name on and making it your own? Give you the venue and everything. And so yeah, it's just a bit of an opportunity to this idea of us just like
Mm,
playing a night show in Margate in the summer quickly evolved into like, all right, let's make a weekender out of it and make it a bit of a festival, and who knows where it might grow bigger than Olbies and be an outdoor thing in like 5 years or something. But
amazing.
yeah, it just made sense, you know what I mean? So, and the response has been brilliant. We've done a lot of tickets already. We're like about 60% sold out already, and it's not till what is it? The July the 4th and 5th. Um,
Nice.
so yeah, it's yeah, I mean you're right, it's like taking on a shitload more work, but we're experienced in that, like we put all our own tours on and everything. Like the logistics behind doing like the 8 gigs that we've got coming up in March and April, and doing all of that ourselves, like 8 events essentially. You know what I mean? And then I mean after Shepherd's Bush as well. Like nah, I mean that was Scargate is going to be a lot of work, but like Shepherd's Bush was an absolute monster to put together. Like to put an event that size together and all the marketing that went into it to make sure that like we didn't completely mug ourselves and it was actually like full in there. So yeah, I mean, we're experienced, and the opportunity landed on our lap a little bit, and we were just like, right, fuck it, let's do it. And we
Yeah.
turned a couple of weeks, confirmed all the bands, put it on sale. So yeah, mate,
That's the thing when those opportunities come up. If no matter how busy you are, if you don't grab it, someone
yeah,
else will do it. You know what I mean? Like
yeah,
yeah,
exactly. Yeah, yeah,
no,
that is it, mate. It's just yeah, you just like if these opportunities like appear, you got to make the most of them. I mean, like one that really springs to mind is the Tom Skinner thing, with
yeah.
Bot. Well, like he hadn't even recorded his vocals. I just spoke to him on the phone briefly. I hadn't met him at that point. Sent him a demo of this song and was like, "You up for being on it?" And he was like, "Yeah, I fucking love it. I'd love to do that." But it wasn't going to be like the first single off the album or anything. And then the first working week of January, the first working day of January, so not last year, year before, my phone's flashing up at like 7:30 in the morning. Tom Skinner. I'm thinking that's a bit random, you know what I mean? That's a few weeks ago before Crimbo, and like he said he loved the tune and like he'd be down like early next year to do the vocal when we're finishing the album. He's like, geez, you know that song, like, but like how quick do you reckon we can like get it done? So I'm on Capital FM next week all morning with Roman Kent. They're coming to the calf to like talk about what I'm having for breakfast because he hasn't.
That calf, Dino's, yeah.
Yeah, so we ended up going to Dino's about 5 times in one week, like filming the video there, doing promo in there, having a meeting about marketing in there. It's great. But yeah, I was like, well, when can you come down and record it? And he was like, tomorrow. I was like, all right, fine. We were actually it was very lucky. The studio was booked for like that whole week. So we rearranged things slightly. He came down, done his vocal. Mitch pulled a late one that night and mixed it all. And then our mate that does mastering mastered it the next day. Mate at the distributor, like got him to rush it through. So it was on Spotify by Friday, I think. He recorded it
What
Tuesday.
a turnaround!
Was on Spotify by Friday. Then we filmed a music video the following Tuesday. That went online and that did really good numbers because Tom's got like a massive social following.
Mm.
And yeah, the following Friday morning, it got played on the Roman Kemp breakfast show on Capital Drive Time, which Drive Time, like the morning show, the massive listenership. I'm told it was like maybe over 1 million people.
Wow.
Tom actually got it played for like they played the song for like 2 minutes. So again, it's just one of those things where it got in the top 20 of the singles sales charts and the official charts as well.
Nice.
So that was such a quick turnaround. But again, it was one of them where it was an opportunity. You got someone like Tom Skinner, who's an amazing geezer, like just full of energy, like and really keen to do something with it and make the best out of being on Capitol and give that song the platform, even though it didn't really fully exist when he rang me because he hadn't yet recorded it. As soon as I picked up on how enthusiastic Tom was, there was a big part of me that was thinking it ain't going to get played on Capitol because that never happens for
No.
us. But Tom's got like so much enthusiasm for this, and he's got such a wider reach, like compared to us. We just got to do this with him. If he's as keen as mustard, then we need to match that energy and jump on this opportunity. So that's yeah, so important. Do you know what I mean? It's just when these opportunities arise, you've just got to jump straight on it. And we're lucky that we're in a position where, because we do it like as a day job and because I have staff helping with my agency and everything, we can sort of rejig things. And if there's an opportunity to jump on like starting that festival or doing that single with Tom, we can turn things around quite quickly. We might have to do fucking mad long days, do you know what I mean? And yeah, put a mad shift in, but yeah, we can get it done. And it's really important to jump on opportunities. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's the main takeaway, isn't it? If it comes along, do it. If the opportunity comes, you got to jump on it because if you are an R too long, it could pass you by. And I've never met Tom Skinner, but he always come across as a really nice bloke. So I'm not surprised that he wanted to get involved and get you that exposure.
Yeah, he's so down to earth. Like that day we did the music video, like I picked him up in my fucking banged out truck that I had at the time, and was like, right, mate, how long you got today? Like, where do you know, what time do you need to finish? Do you need dropping anywhere? And he was like, Ollie, mate, I'm your bitch. Like, what you need me to do, just fucking say, mate. Like, he's so down to earth. Like, he was an
Yeah,
absolute.
he seems it. I remember when I actually used to watch The Apprentice. I don't anymore. I can remember just before I even knew really no one really knew anything about him then. Just remember thinking like, I really hope you win this. I really like you. Then he lost every task, and it was like, this ain't going a day. But if you look at what he's done outside of it, he's a really successful businessman.
Yeah, he's done really. Yeah, and he got up and did like Bosch with us at Shepherd's Bush. Like great moment. So
I bet.
Really.
That's like Phil Daniels coming on for Blur.
Yeah, well, it's our equivalent, isn't it?
Yeah.
I should know his real name really. Kevin Webster, Michael Lavelle, is it? I always forget his actual name. Like, we need him up for Candy Street.
Yeah, mate.
We've completely left of guitar pop at that point. If we can get him in his overalls,
I was going to say in his overalls. Yeah,
that's like the end cult.
I can just imagine him being like, "That's okay. This sounds a bit weird, but it sounds fun. I'll do it." Like,
You probably don't even know that like there's this weird cult of Scar fans that fucking have masks, like with his face countries.
No, I can imagine him getting that WhatsApp one day and just the confusion he would feel. Like, but mate, I mean, absolutely. Thank you so much for coming on. I just want to ask you next after Scargate. What do you see happening next?
So we've got the Double Lively tour, the UK tour in March and April. Scargate amongst a load of other festivals that we're playing this summer. And yet really like the rest of the year we're going to be working on an album, a new studio album, and we'll start putting out new music again like back end of the year, sort of going into 2026 with like a big fifth album release. So that's the next next big project after the tour and Scargate and the festivals and everything, to get this album release going.
Fantastic. And all the links to all your socials and your website, everything like that will be in the description of the podcast. So, mate, thank you so much. It's been absolutely brilliant. I really appreciate you coming on.
I appreciate you, Charlie. Thanks so much for having me.
Thanks, man. Cheers.
Okay.
You've been listening to the Bandwagon Podcast with me, Charlie Cooper. You can follow us on Facebook and Instagram at The Bandwagon Pod, and follow us on Spotify, Apple Music, YouTube Music and Amazon Music to keep up with future shows.